for holding, everybody. We're now joined with Raging Cajun head coach Mark Hudspeth. If you have a question for Coach Hud, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Coach, while we're waiting for questions to get in the queue, would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Yeah, glad to get this first game under our belt to sort of gauge where we're at right now. I thought being a first game of the year, playing in the rain, and I thought we came out and played a very clean game. I thought our kids were excited, played hard. I thought we did some good things on both sides of the ball, including the kicking game. Still a lot of room for improvement in a lot of areas. I think we identified a few players that are going to help us and made some decisions on some other kids, on some moves that we had made. But now, the task gets much tougher as we get ready for a very talented Louisiana Tech team this weekend.
Thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Youngsville, Louisiana. Caller, please identify yourself and go ahead.
Coach, this is Dan McDonald from this week, The Advocate. Your offense obviously got a lot of play in the preseason with all the people returning in the skill positions, but your defense came very close to throwing a shutout, didn't even give up a running play over 9 yards, and only really gave up 2 plays the whole game. Can you address, now that you've looked at it, your entire defensive performance?
I thought it was good. They popped those 2 big plays. They sort of schemed us up on those and give them credit. But overall, I thought our D-line played pretty good for the first game, and one reason because we rotated a lot of guys. We didn't have to go a lot of snaps. I thought they were fresh. And then some of our linebackers really stepped up. Trey Johnson really stepped up, played well, and so did Dominic Covell and Boris Aniyama. And then, for the most part, we were solid in the back end, except for a couple of plays that they were able to draw upon us. But overall, I thought we tackled well, and that was one of the main concerns coming into the game, was the amount of lack of amount of tackling, I should say, that we did throughout the scrimmage about spring two-a-days. But overall, I thought we tackled pretty good to be the first game.
You talked about the linebacker spot. You were short-handed a couple of guys. Were you still able to rotate the way you really wanted to?
We were, and we did move Tyron inside a little bit too, and Tyron Alexander. But Trey Johnson and played awful well. Tyron really played well. But P.J. Posey played a little bit too. I think all the inside linebackers did some good things.
Looking at Louisiana Tech, what does that unit have to do? Because Tech's going to come with a little bit more power or more versatile running game, I guess.
Yeah, they like to run the football, and they've got a back. Last year was a 1,500-yard back. He's the best back in Conference USA, and so we want to do a great job of getting people in the box and tackling and wrapping up when we do get to him, because he's very physical, and they come off the ball up front. They're a very physical offensive line, and they try to establish that run. So we're going to have to do a really good job of taking our gaps and getting the right way.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan. Our next questions come from New Orleans, Louisiana. Caller, please identify yourself and go ahead.
Yeah, this is Trey Austin, Miller.com, and nice to speak to you. Coach, Jamal Robinson had a good game the other night. It looked like Southern was playing man a pretty good bit of the time, man press. Do you anticipate he's going to see a lot of man, it would seem to be like, and that he would probably get a little more bracket coverage, a little more attention than he got with Southern? Do you see that? Do you envision that as the season goes along?
I in some ways I hope he would, because obviously it takes one more person out of the box for the run game. And so in a lot of ways, we like to run the ball, so if the team is going to bracket, that means they got to take one more person out. And then move them out there into the coverage, and then that helps open up the inside run game. So hopefully, like I said, with some of the guys we've got on the edges, that they hopefully can command a little respect. They can open up some of the run game. Because, we wanted to identify or establish the run, and I thought we did. I thought we were very balanced. I think we rushed for 246 and passed for something like that too. So, but he had a big night, sure did.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you. Our next questions come from Salt Lake, Utah. Caller, please identify yourself and go ahead.
Hey, Coach, Tim Buckley with the Advertiser.
You're all the way in Salt Lake, Utah today, huh?
All of Salt Lake is watching and listening to you, Coach. Hey, you mentioned some decisions. Any details on some of those decisions that you made, and I know you mentioned Cecily the other day. Somebody maybe who could move up on the depth chart. Where do things stand with him?
Yeah, Matt Barnes. We're going to move Matt Barnes back to tight end. The little experiment we sort of did, moving him out to H, really didn't work as well as we had hoped. He didn't do as good in space that he normally does from the tight end spot. We think he is a very elusive, fast, strong tight end. But when you move him out there in the perimeter, he wasn't quite as effective. So we're going to put him back in where he's more effective. He's still a big part of this plan. He's going to play an awful lot, and we think he's going to be a great player in the future too. But Gabe was very effective out there at the H and just gives us more speed.
And do you anticipate Trey Johnson maybe getting another start, or do you think that you'll have the situation with Chris Hill resolved by the end of the week, or doesn't it matter as far as Trey getting a start goes?
Well, you know what? At this point, I think he would get it regardless. I think he's earned it. I thought he played really well. I thought he played very physical and was always around the ball. And like I said, we're just in a holding pattern right now with Chris since the school was closed. But regardless, I still think Trey would get the start over Chris this week.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you, Coach. That's all the time we have for you today. We do appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Thank you. If everyone could stand by, we'll place you on hold. We'll have Todd Berry of UL Monroe on shortly. Please stand by.
You are placing your audience on hold.
This is Alex. I have Coach's phone, giving it to him right now.
Thank you.
Todd Berry.
Hey, Coach, it's Travis from the Sunbelt. If you're ready, we can get started.
I'm ready, Travis.
All right, thank you.
You are taking your audience off hold.
Thank you for holding, everybody. We're now joined with Todd Berry, the head coach of ULM. If you have a question for Coach Berry, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Coach, while we're waiting for questions to get in the queue, would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Yeah, proud of our football team. I had the defensive maturity showed up, and we played pretty well on defense. Offensively, some of your young guys got to grow up a little bit. We started off very conservative and then started opening up as the game wore on. I thought we handled it pretty well. We made some halftime adjustments and some sideline adjustments well, and you're always concerned about that in the first game. So obviously it wasn't always pretty, but we'll take the win, and we're 1-0 right now, and that's a good place to be.
Thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Dusty Thibodeau with WarhawkReport.com. Dusty, please go ahead.
Coach, with Idaho going through their situation down in Florida, it's almost like you're having another opening game this upcoming week. How does that kind of change your preparation for them, not really having any film with their two quarterback system that they're expected to run?
Well, it obviously impacts us. It's always easier. It's always difficult in a first ball game, and it's always easier once you have a body of work to be able to see on someone. And they've got an influx of junior college players also that are both in their one deep, as ones and then also as twos. And so you don't know exactly what those guys are going to be like, and so you got to go back to their junior college film and try to get a pre-scout on those guys. And so it's a little bit more difficult. I'm sure it's difficult on them too.
All right, thank you, Coach.
You bet, Dusty.
Thank you, Dusty. And thank you, Coach. That's all the questions we have for you today. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. If everyone can stand by, we'll have Trent Miles of Georgia State on shortly. Please stand by.
You are placing your audience on hold.